Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge, and I'm going to be doing a deck profile of the deck I've been running for like the last 3 tournaments I entered. Played in the Call Me Baby Wednesday weekly, the 3D Shop Thursday weekly, and the Premier Webcam tournament that just happened this Saturday. I went 3-3 there. Solid enough for my first performance. Happy enough with that. I did beat. I am the only Swiss loss of the Solar Nexus list that made top 8. But yeah, we're just gonna go over my list and talk about it. Hunter Surge of the Future Hero, real quick. In my round 5 and round 6 games in the webcam tournament, my opponents were both recording their games for YouTube. So when those go up, I would keep an eye on those channels so that you can see this deck in action. Round 5 was against Expository Nerds, who was using a Sonic Core Turbo deck. I had some cool plays in that one that I'm pretty excited to see go up on YouTube. And round 6 was against XR Merrick. This one was also pretty cool because I was against Wind Thunder Burn. We went to time on this one, and we were both fighting to have a chance on the bubble, even though both of us did not have the tiebreakers to make it. But yeah, I would check those out. Check out those channels, check out those videos when they come out. I'll probably advertise them on the community tab when they come out. And yeah, let's go on with the deck profile. So first up, we'll be starting off with our Rhinosect package. This is half of the reason you're playing the deck. So Rhinymph, very simply, is a 1/5, very nice stat line if you need to like stall with it on the board. You can just put it in defense and your opponent will have some trouble getting over it, have to expend some resources dealing with it. But you can spend a Frost Spirit from your Spirit deck with it on the board to turn it into an artifact rune, and it will be empowering any given Elestral on the field. That Elestral will get -2 defense and be suppressed. This does not target, so this actually gives you a very easy way of dealing with any non-targetable things that may be trouble. And then after you do that, you will be able to play out our big boy, Rhinosect. He can be special cast as long as you have an Elestral, a card that was originally an Elestral in your rune row. So Rhinymph, of course. And he has an 8/5 body that can target and destroy an empowered Elestral once per turn. So this means that we are effectively paying a total of 4 for a Earthquake and an 8/5 body. There are other ways you can utilize it by misenchanting it, depending on the scenario, but that is generally like the value proposition you're going for. Yeah, very powerful 2-card combo. 8/5 is a really nice stat line. It beats over like everything. And even if they switch it to defense with a Tsunami, it is still a 5 defense that they're going to have to deal with. And like decks kind of struggle with the number 5. It's kind of why 5 guys won the whole event. So yeah, stat line is very good. Card is very good. And sometimes you're just a sack lord and you go, okay, Rhinymph resolve effect. I will now special cast to Rhinosect. Please have a bunch of removal for me. Yeah, it's very, very nice. On to the other half of our Frost engine, we have 3 Cryoling, 2 Kryovyrn, and 1 Cryoscorch. So Cryoling is a 1/3 that gets +1 attack, is it, in this game? The power stat, the attack mode stat. For every Frost Spirit you have in your underworld. And then during your main phase, if its attack hits 6, it will immediately either destroy itself or special ascent into a Kryovyrn from your hand or deck. So that's this guy. He's a 7/4, 2 cost. And then if he actually has an effect, because you're often going to be misenchanting this guy with like a water to make him immune to Tsunami, he will be able to discard your whole hand in your draw phase to special ascend into Cryoscorch, which is this guy. This is the card I did not have in my list in 3D Shop and Call Me Baby. I had it in my sideboard I decided in once and won me a match technically. And I was like, it's like one slot. I can just put this in my main deck. And I put it in my main deck and I resolved it twice and it won me both of those games. So, you know. It's very nice to just be able to clinch the game when you're like in a good position. So basically, Cryo Scorch is able to, when you special ascend into it, it just blows up every rune on the board. And then you can expend your entire spirit deck to burn your opponent for 5. So the idea is you can special ascend into this, blow up every rune. If they have a gaze, they have to use it preemptively because it's gonna get blown up. And then you expend your spirit deck, burn them for 5, and if that doesn't kill them, you attacks in for 3, and finishes them off. That's the idea. You go into it like late in the game when your opponent's low on spirits and you've managed to stick a Kryovyrn, and you just kill them. It's like this is a card that you can take it or leave it. I was just like, it's a 1-of slot. I found myself in many scenarios where this would have won me the game, and my opponent managed to claw back and beat me. So I decided I'll just put it in the 1-of slot, and it did come up. So you know, but I only went 3-3. So you know, maybe that indicates something. No, I did not really dead draw this card. 2 Frostmite. So this is a 3/1 that can target an Elestral and drop his defense by 5. I want to screw around with this card because it has some nice synergies with Cryoblast, a really powerful new rune Frost got in this set. But also I liked its applications into Astrabbit, since like everyone is on Astrabbit, and sometimes some other 5 defenders. I looked at Frostmite and was like, okay, Frostmite is a card that looks at Astrabbit and goes, I am going to... This Astrabbit is not safe. It is going to be threatened as long as this is on the board, it's going to be threatened. I found those applications pretty nice, but it doesn't do enough overall, so I'm probably going to end up cutting it. 1 of Arcturus. I actually only have 1 of this card. I saw another Rhinosect Kryovyrn list going around that was running it, so it's like, I have a garbage card that I was running in this slot before. I'll take it out and try out the Arcturus. So basically, it's a 3/2. It's a 3/2 that can expend a Frost from my Spirit deck up to twice per turn in order to gain 3 attack until the end phase. So it can go up, spend 1, go up to 6, beat over any 5, or go up to 9 to beat over even bigger things, or even beat over them even if you got PT8. So it was okay. Of course, I was only on 1 of it. But like, I wasn't impressed enough by the card that I'll keep it in with what I have in mind, with what I'm going to change this deck for. Then I was on 1 Catarant. Catarant is a 3/1 that when it receives a Frost, it heals me 2 Frosts from my Underworld. This is one of these 4 slots that is 100% staying in. There are too many game states where you get into a position where it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this on board. However, I need to heal up a bit to make sure I can maintain my winning position. And Catarant allows you to do that. So very important card. Then for the non-Frost stuff, we have 3 Astrabbit. Very standard card. 2/5, 1 cost. When it receives a Thunder, so basically on play, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, grab any of them to your hand, shuffle the rest into the deck. It sits there as a 5. Real good card. Real incredible card. One won't play without it. Very important to have good turn 1 plays too. And my other really good turn 1 play is Narpoon. Narpoon is a 4/3 water 1 cost that when you normal cast it is going to search your deck for any 1 cost Frost and add to your hand. So this is huge for consistency. It lets you access whatever side of your deck you need to at the moment. Get Catarants when you need to. Just get whatever. Just get whatever. Incredible card. Stat line's pretty good too. Immune to Tsunami. Just incredible. Very good card. I was running 2 of the Divine Rune Keon. I didn't feel the need for a Divine Searcher because like Keon was in no way essential to the strategy. It's just something I wanted for a way to like recur stuff, to keep using it. Like constantly threaten a Cryoling, for example, especially if I'm getting shielded on it, on the Kryovyrn swing, so I still have them in hand constantly. Stuff like that. You play it for 1 Frost, so it has 1 Frost under it, and then you can enchant up to 3 extra Frosts. I never enchanted it with more than 2 total, including the initial one you always have to put on it. And then you can disenchant a Frost from it to add a 1-cost Frost Elestral from your Underworld back to your hand. Very useful recycling. I liked it well enough, but I don't think it's good enough for the slots it's taking up right now, unfortunately. I do like the card a lot. I like the recursion it gives, but I think there is more important stuff that we need to be running right now. And because of these engines, the space into this is fairly tight. So yeah. 3 copies of Ambrosia. Always going to be running 3 of this. It heals you for 2. Gets back important spirit types that you're running less copies of back into your spirit deck. And like often the person who sees more of these is just going to be at a big advantage. Yeah, really incredible card. Wouldn't want to be without it. 3 Cryoblast. This is one of the biggest reasons why I want to play a Frost deck. Cryoblast is a 1-cost Invoke rune that targets an Elestral that is not Frost enchanted, gives it -2 defense until the end phase, and then if it hits 0 at any point during that time, it's destroyed. So this instantly clears a lot of the 5 attackers that are running around. It's not as good into Earth, but it still kills Viscerus and Moss Station really easily. So yeah, it's just a really incredible card. Sometimes you get into positions where it's like, okay, there's an Ass Rabbit there. I have a Narpoon. I'm gonna cryo this Ass Rabbit, and then I'm gonna go attack into it. If they have a back row to stop that attack, I am going. That's fine. I forced that out of them. That's fine enough. So yeah, it can allow you to threaten Ass Rabbit more reliably, which is also pretty cool. And also has some nice synergy with Frostmite. Frostmite lets it kill basically anything barring like a 3-cost, because Frostmite is going to drop it by 5, and then Cryoblast is going to drop it by 2, which is pretty cool. Then the counter runes. We have 3 copies of Gorgon's Gaze. Wouldn't leave home without it. It is 2 of any spirits to play. You target an Elestral. If its effect is currently on the chain, that effect gets negated. And then for the rest of the turn, it is suppressed, so it doesn't have any text. It cannot receive enchantments, attack, nexus, or ascent. It does a lot of stuff. Very versatile card. Absolute inarguable 3-up. Like in Elestrals, the 3 cards that you are going to start every deck with, no matter what, is Gorgon's Gaze, Ambrosia, and Ash Rabbit. And like Poison Tipped Arrow is probably among that number 2, to be honest. So Poison Tipped Arrow is you can cast it when your opponent casts an Elestral. This isn't like Yu-Gi-Oh! It doesn't have to be the immediate thing you do after. It can be at any point during the next chain, which does have some useful applications. Like in my round 6, my opponent used a Pegas and targeted my face-down PTA, and I asked the judge who was there, hey, can I use PTA in this chain after Pegas has targeted? And they said yes, and I went, flip PTA. Your Pegas did nothing. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, it's just, so PTA just targets that Elestral, gives them -2 attack, so often it's going to stop them from being able to beat over whatever Elestral you have. But if you have an empty board, unfortunately, they're still going to be into your face, unless that Elestral has 2 or less attack before the PTA modification. Because if it has 0 attack, it cannot hit your face. And then in the end phase, you expend spirits from your spirit deck equal to the enchantment cost. So the enchantment cost is like the base number of spirits you need to have on an Elestral. And you destroy it. Incredible card. Really good. Then we have 2 Shield of Achilles. This is, you can only cast it during the attack step. And you expend spirits in addition to the initial 1 cost you play for it. Equal to the enchantment cost of the attacking Elestral. You negate the attack and then bounce it back to your hand. Shield is okay. It's pretty solid. But like it does have an issue that like in certain matchups it's like I'm paying quite a bit for this, and I'm not actually dealing with the problem. The problem is going to come back down next turn. But it can be really good for getting into good tempo positions, or just protecting your guy, or whatever you need it to do. It is non-targeting though, so like it is a card that's existence means that any of the big untargetable assholes has to go, okay, I need to clear their entire back row before I'm safe swinging in. Because if they just have shield, I'm going to lose the game. And then the last card in the main deck, and the last counter rune, is 2 copies of Tsunami. I was a bit scared of there being a lot of waters, and there was a lot of waters in the tournament, but I did not get paired into a single one of them. So Tsunami is 1 water to play, and you switch every not water enchanted Elestral into defense. Even against Eddie, this is a fairly good card. Something I did a couple times was I put down, my turn 1 play was put down a rabbit. They play an Eddie, switch my rabbit to attack, or sometimes they do it with Rhinymph. I did it a couple times with Rhinymph too, and then they attack in with their guy that can swing over my now attack position, Ash Rabbit. But I'm able to flip over Tsunami, switch my rabbit or my Rhinymph back to defense, and now it can't hit over. So that's very nice. That's a very nice application of the card, even into water decks where you're not getting its main application, especially since a lot of waters only hit for attack. So that threshold can be really annoying for them to hit. Yeah, I should have been on 3 of this. I just got too spooked about there being a lot of waters. No, maybe I'll switch to 3 and I'll get punished super hard. But you can just run 3 shield in the sideboard and just swap them out as needed. So it's whatever. I really should have been on 3. For the spirits, we are running 5, 8, 11, 12, 13. Frost Spirits is, of course, the main color of the deck, so we need a lot of it, especially since we are running some Keon. Rhinymph is a real glutton for your Frost Spirits, so like I wouldn't feel comfortable going too much lower than this 13. But yeah. I was on 4 Leviathan, needed for Narpoon and Tsunami, and also we often want to misenchant. We want to have the option to misenchant Kryovyrn and Rhinosect so that we can be immune to our opponent's Tsunamis, especially on Kryovyrn, because like with Rhinosect it's not such a big deal if it gets Tsunami. However, with Kryovyrn, that's going to switch it to its 4 defense, which like there's a lot of 1 cost that are going to be able to beat over that. So you would really prefer for that not to happen. We're on 2 Zaptor for the Ast Rabbits, and then we're on 1 Vipyro for the Scorch tech. And then the sideboard, we were on 3 Boombat. For those unfamiliar, this is basically Exiled Force. It's a 2/1, 1 Thunder Spirit. You can disenchant a Thunder from this Boombat to target and destroy an opponent's Elestral. So it just kills itself. It spends your normal summon to kill one of your opponent's guys. If you can send it over something, you can be an even bigger threat if you're able to protect it, because it has a really garbage stat line, which is good. In fact, it's very powerful. But this is also very handy because like there's some forms of targeting protection. I'm thinking of Bag of Winds in particular that does not work against Elestral source destruction. So we already have some of that in Rhinosect, so it's not as big of a concern here as it would be for another deck. But I still want to have access to it in the sideboard, and if I needed more access to removal for big guys, this is something that I wanted to have. My sideboard is not as optimal as it could be. I'm missing some crucial cards that I probably would have run in the sideboard if I had them. Like I don't have enough Pandora's Box. I only have 1. But I was running 2 Mountains of Boreas. My idea here was there are some decks that really care about having stadiums up, and I'd like to have some option to fight the stadium war with them. So I had like 2 open slots in my sideboard. So I was like, I'll just put in 2 Mountains of Boreas. Then we had 3 Resting on Your Laurels. Resting on Your Laurels is 1 cost any spirit. You can only use it if your opponent has 2 more enchanting spirits than you, or more. And then you target and destroy an opponent's Elestral with the least number of enchanting spirits. So this can be very nice into like decks that are really focused on like the Rifts, into big guy decks that don't necessarily have protection. Like against Solar would have been really nice. Very nice card against big guys like that. Decks that like are able to get ahead of you decks that are really focused on a Divine Rune like Earth Nexus. Very, very applicable in a lot of those matchups. This is a card that I'm actually planning on putting into my main board at some count. I'm not sure how many at this point, but it's just so good. I wish I had in so many game ones that I'm going to put it in there. 3 copies of Dense Fog. Dense Fog is a counter rune that costs 1 lunar, and you suppress every Elestral that is not lunar enchanted on the field, so that makes them lose their effects. It loses all their attacks. So you cannot stop an effect that is already on the chain by suppressing it. But you can really screw up like Nexus-based strategies. Rhinymph itself can be stopped by Dense Fog as well. Although that often doesn't do a whole lot because of the fact that it's a 5 defense. And it's like, okay, I'll just sit on this. I'll protect it with my counter rune. And then I'll do it again next turn. But yeah, there's a decent amount of stuff that this is very, very handy against. So I wanted to have it in my sideboard. And then we have 2 Zaptors for when we sign into the Boom Bats, because we're going to need a bit more than 2 Spirits in those scenarios. And 2 Owloons for when we sign into Dense Fogs, of course. And that was the deck. Hunter Surge of the Future here one last time. If you enjoyed this video and want to see a version of this deck in action, it doesn't have the Cryo Scorch in it, but my my commented gameplay video that I uploaded on Monday features this deck when I played it in round 1 of our 3D shop Oshawa Locals. So go check that out. And thanks for watching. This is Hunter Surge signing off.